everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I have a special guest today. He is the founder of Draft Bernie for a People's Party, and he is the former electoral manager of Our Revolution, and he was the national political outreach coordinator for Bernie Sanders 2016. He's here with us today. It's Nick Brana. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hey, Jimmy. It's awesome to join you. Thanks for keeping me sane.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's kind of, I don't know if you feel like me, but when I see Trump on TV lambasting the media for being fake news, I'm torn because his message is mostly correct, but he's such a flawed messenger. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason people come to YouTube to get their news is because the mainstream news media is corporate and full of shit, and people know it. So it's kind of awkward to watch people get upset when Trump says the same thing everybody who watches YouTube news thinks. It's just weird. So
exactly.
You're here, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about your new Draft Bernie for a People's Party. Now, tell me what this is all about, Nick.
So after the election, after Trump won, I thought, I kind of realized, I started thinking about where should the movement go, at this point, where should the progressive movement go? What can we do? And I realized that there was this incredible opportunity available to us that hadn't been available before. And so there was this opportunity to create a progressive, genuinely progressive third party in the way that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party had been created. They started out initially as minor parties to begin with. And the way what distinguishes that from other efforts to create a major third party is that what they did is a beloved politician, a popular politician, and others around him break off from the existing parties and form their own party. That's what happened with the Republican Party. Lincoln's Republican Party replaced the Whig Party in 4 years doing that. That's what happened with the Democratic Party as well.
In fact, Nick, the Republican Party, when Lincoln was elected president, was considered a regional party at the time.
It was, yes, it was. It was considered at first. It was a small party. Obviously, Lincoln helped build it up to the point where within 2 years from being founded, it had acquired an influential contingent in Congress. Within 4 years after being founded, it had pretty much replaced much of the Whig Party, and within 6 years, it had elected him as president. That is a similar trajectory that I think we could follow now. And I think one thing that really struck me too is that back then there was a much greater division in the country. The country is much more sharply divided over the question of slavery than we are over the kind of issues today. Today there's near unanimity around things like getting money out of politics and around the idea that inequality is just unacceptable. So today that agreement is much larger than it was even back then when the Republicans managed to replace the Whigs. And that was a radical progressive party back then, abolitionist party.
Yeah, what I would say is that the people are in agreement about lots of things. More people, it's in the high 50s that have a favorable attitude towards single-payer Medicare for all than do still in the low 40s for Obamacare, right? So you're right about that. So the thing that I keep seeing, the problem is our leaders don't represent the voters anymore. And it has been this way for a while. And you know about the Princeton study, I'm sure, which showed you that the lower 80% of the people in the country, 80, I thought it was 90, but someone said
90. It was
90.
90.
That's what I thought it was 90, right? So 90% of the people in the country, what their desires are electorally never happen. Because, but the upper 10% income earners, what they want, it's statistically exact with the percentage. So if 40% of them want something, 40% of the time it gets passed. And 80% of the upper 10% want something, 80% of the time it gets passed. But with the bottom 90%, there's absolutely no correlation. So that's that whole thing about people wagging their finger at third-party voters for not voting for Hillary Clinton. And I'm like, they've been systematically kept out of the real government anyway, right? So now, I mean, the problem is the system, and a system that discourages voters. We still do it on a work day. I mean, all these horrible things, they still, the system's messed up. And so you're saying we got to go outside that system.
Right. Yeah. I mean, on the campaign, I worked with the superdelegates as the national political outreach coordinator. And working with them, I saw that the party did not care. It was not interested. Those are the ultimate party insiders, the DNC members, the people who, ironically, will be electing the next DNC chair in about a week. And those individuals, they're just not concerned with the issues, Jimmy. They were concerned instead with currying favor with the establishment, with what they thought was going to be the next administration, the next presidency, getting into the next, into the Christmas ball, their own professional advancement. They were actually annoyed to talk about the issues and to feel like they were being lectured, and so I went in there when I started that job. I thought, well, this is fabulous. I'm going to start by telling them about, I'm going to cite this study and that study, and I'm going to show, how in Scandinavia it works like this and it's produced this better results. I got there, it didn't work. They didn't care. They didn't want to hear it. I was bursting their bubble.
Still, Nick, still today, if you look, on Twitter, I'm very active on Twitter, and the people who were prominent in the Clinton campaign, Neera Tanden, people like that, they're even worse than they were before. They're even now, not only will they're not interested in those issues, like you said, or they're not interested in solutions or real policy positions. They're interested in this capitalist game bang that had, to quote Bill Hicks, that has infected our politics, right? So now it's this big one. Everyone wants to be on the insiders club, and the insiders club, how do you get inside money? That's how you get inside big money. And so that's why, guys like Paul Krugman, who was really a vehement supporter of Hillary Clinton and a smear of Bernie Sanders and all things progressive, which was hard to watch, even he will readily admit in his stumping for Hillary Clinton that our government is an oligarchy. No problem with that. We live in an oligarchy. What's your solution? We need to keep supporting more oligarchs. Right. That sounds crazy to me. And that's why I catch a lot of flack for keep pointing this out. The reason why Trump won is because you didn't have anything to go up. You have to beat something with something. You can't beat something with nothing. And what the Democrats had to offer was nothing. They said, what do you want? We don't care. You want $15 minimum wage? No. You want universal health care? No. You want better trade deals? Go pound sand. You want us to stop DAPL? Go screw yourself. You want something to actually push back against climate change? No, we're not going to put it in a platform. Get out of here. We're in bed with the military-industrial complex. We're in bed with Wall Street, Big Pharma, all that stuff. So that's why they lost to Trump, because they offered them nothing. And so people are getting on me now saying, hey, why don't you attack Trump more? I'm like, because everyone else is attacking Trump pretty well. What we need to do is have something ready to replace Trump in the midterm election. When it comes around, I still don't hear the Democrats putting forward an agenda. Where's their fucking agenda?
Right. There is none. And that's the thing, is that people are not motivated by the idea, unfortunately, of reforming the Democratic Party. And it's because the Democratic Party has not offered them anything. There's this astonishing statistic from Gallup, which tracks party identification, that shows that millions of people have left the Democratic Party since the general election. I mean, this is despite all of Bernie Sanders' effort, all of the efforts to bring people into the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party has offered nothing to people, just like Hillary Clinton offered nothing to people in opposition. Millions of people have left. It's about 20% of the Democratic Party that has left since the election. That is an astonishing, historic decline in Democrats since then. That corresponds to almost 14 million people who have disaffiliated from the party in the Gallup Party ID tracking poll. And to me, as a progressive, I think, well, progressives should be following the lead of the people. The people are leading the way to a new independent alternative. They're essentially voicing their vote of no confidence in the reform approach, in this idea that we can revitalize the Democratic Party. And so I think it's a lot easier. Yeah, what I think Bernie Sanders is doing instead is that once you see that statistic, you realize that actually what Bernie's doing, nobody can bring people into this party because millions of people have left. Bernie's really the only thing holding the party together still.
Yeah.
He's kind of the dam that is preventing that party from collapsing
completely
entirely.
Nick, this is so right on. And they're still doing that thing of, if you go again, you still hear the Joy Reids and the Neera Tandons and the Joan Walshes say things like, well, Bernie's not a Democrat. You son of a bitches. He's the only thing saving you right now. If you didn't have Bernie Sanders, exactly what you're saying. Not only are you guys wiped out from coast to coast. Again, that's the thing I cannot get over, Nick. The Democrats, they keep wanting to talk about Russia and Hillary. You guys are wiped out at every level of government. I don't think Russia tapped into the state house in Nebraska and North Dakota and Illinois and Michigan and Wisconsin. I don't think that happened. So they're wiped out from a coast to coast on the state level and the governorships. They're also wiped out in the Congress, Senate, and now they lost to the most easily beatable candidate in the world. And they all want to do is let's talk about something else. And if you keep bringing up what's wrong with the Democratic Party, there's something wrong with you. You must be friends with the Kremlin. That's what people tell me, Nick. Hey, the next live Jimmy Dore show is March 4th. That's a Saturday. Get your tickets right below. The next one after that is March 20th. The shows sell out really fast, so get your tickets right now. Links right there.